Hey, welcome to another episode of Music Tips and Reviews with jayz. Appreciate y'all for watching, and make sure y'all share this video. This is a long-awaited video. I've told people I was going to do this over and over again. I said, let me finally do this. The reason I've been holding off on this because this is a very tough ranking. Usually it don't take me this long to do a ranking, but this is a tough one. The ranking of Jay-Z albums. I'm a huge fan of Jay-Z. Been a fan of Jay-Z for a long time. I believe I started being a fan of Jay-Z really Hard Knock Life album. It's when I really became a fan of Jay-Z. When he first came out, honestly, I felt I thought he was kind of boring, with the Can't Knock the Hustle and those songs like that. And then over time, I started to respect, his flow and his music, and he has great taste as far as, beats and as far as the concept of his albums. And now he's, grown to be a great businessman, a billionaire. And so we're gonna do the ranking of Jay-Z albums. And so this is my opinion, my ranking. So if you feel like you feel it should be in another order, put it in the comments under my video. Let me know your ranking, what you feel is the ranking of Jay-Z albums. So many albums, so much history from this great MC. Some people say he's the greatest MC of all time, greatest rapper of all time, and some people may disagree, but I feel he's one of the greatest. I feel he's on that Mount Rushmore, Jay-Z. And so let's get into it. I got my Wikipedia up, and so we're gonna get to it. So I would say my number 13 is Volume 1. Volume 1, In My Lifetime. In My Lifetime was a good album. I think he, Reasonable Doubt, the one before that, he was really talking about his streets, being in the streets, being in the hustle, making it. And then In My Lifetime, I think he got into this flashy stage where, he started to see, Puff Daddy, which is now Diddy, which they had a part of this album. It's a few songs, and I love the intro. I think this is one of the best intros he ever had. But as far as a body of work, I think he was really trying to find himself commercially, and I think it didn't really deliver like I felt, it should deliver. And so, yeah, 13. I can talk about a lot of things with these albums, but I'll keep it brief. But my 13 is In My Lifetime, Volume 1. I feel like that's number 13. My number 12. Number 12 came in a few years after this, 1999, I believe. Yeah, 1999. Volume 2, Life and Times of Sean Carter, or S. Carter. I believe this was a good album. I felt some weak beats on here, honestly. In no shade to Swiss Beats. I felt his beats was kind of weak on this album. And I felt Timbaland's beats was stronger on this album, especially Big Pimpin' was a highlight on this album. But I think, as far as being a cohesive album, I felt it didn't deliver like it should. It had some great singles like Do It Again with Emil. And by the way, what happened to Emil? Emil was a great female artist associated with Rockefeller. I don't know if I believe she was with Rockefeller, associated with them. and Beanie Siegel. Of course, you know, when Jay-Z and Beanie Siegel have a collaboration, is epic. And you know, Jigga My, the N word. That was a good song on this album as well. Yeah. I felt like it was kind of missing some pieces on this album. So that was my number 12. So my number 11. I felt he tried to do something different as far as marketing on this album. Magna Carta, Holy Grail. I feel it was okay. You know, they kind of hyped it up as this huge album. You know, he all, you know, at this time he was big on, you know, Tidal, launching Tidal and selling, you know, this album on Samsung. It was a special deal. You know, you buy the album on Samsung. And so, excuse me, you know, Magna Carta is my number 11. I love On the Run with Beyonce, Holy Grail with Justin Timberlake. I love Tom Ford. I love that beat on that one. Oceans with Frank Ocean. Beach is Better. That was a good one. So it had a few ones. I feel lyrically it was kind of weak. I feel like, you know, what the word he mean on certain lines, but you know, with Jay-Z, you know, over time you kind of realize what he you know, he meant on certain songs. And so, you know, that's why I give this one 11. And so, yeah, Magna Carta, Holy Grail is my number 11. And so, my number 10, I have to give it to the Dynasty album. So as we all know, you know, this is supposed to have been a compilation album with Rockefeller. This was another album where the intro was dope. Produced by Just Blaze. Had a lot of singles on this one. Change the Game, Just Want to Love You. But like, you know, it felt like a mixtape vibe to me. It felt like it was songs from other projects that was put on this album. I felt it could have been more cohesive. I felt, you know, like I said, I felt it was like a mixtape instead of an album, a body of work. But like I said, it had some strong singles, like Just Want to Love You, Give It to Me. That was like, I believe, one of the first times Pharrell, you know, Neptunes and Jay-Z worked together. And so, yeah, that's my number 10. Magna Carta, Dynasty, Rock Familiar. I can't even talk. So my number 9, and I felt it lived up to its trilogy. Blueprint 3. I felt it lived up to its trilogy, but I felt like Blueprint 3 was too commercial for me. I felt like it was a lot of hype, and it was hyped up more than, you know, it came out to be. But like the other one, like Dynasty, it had a lot of good singles. DOA, Death for Auto-Tune. It was kind of like he was throwing shots to people like T-Pain. Run This Town, fire song with Kanye and Rihanna. Empire State of Mind with Alicia Keys. On to the next one. Stars Born with J. Cole. So it kind of introduced J. Cole to the commercial world. And I love the way it started, what we talking about. That went hard. The song with Jeezy, Real As It Gets. I feel lyrically he was strong. He was really getting into his billionaire. I feel getting into his billionaire mindset as far as the lyrics. You know, kind of knowing where he came from into now. You know, lyrically, you know, speaking on different topics than when he came in the game. You know, when he came in the game, he was talking about the hustle and getting inside the game. Now he's, one of the head ones in the game as far as rap is concerned. At this time, not only as a rapper but as a businessman. So, he dropped some bars on this album, I could say, but I felt it was too. I felt it was kind of too commercial, too hyped up. Yeah. So that's my number 9, Blueprint 3, and so I'm gonna get to my number 8. Get to my number 8 album, if I can find it. I think number 8 is Kingdom Come. So, after his supposedly retirement, he came back 2006. I remember this time, I was, headed to college, and, it was a hype behind this album, Kingdom Come. He's coming out retirement. The song Show Me What You Got was hot. They were playing it every second on the radio. Love the song Lost One with Chrisette Michele. That was a dope single. I like that they chose that song. And just talking about, I think he was talking about really parting ways, really the growth. Now, he's the president of Def Jam during this time. I think the collaboration with, I think the stronger beats on this album were Dr. Dre and Just Blaze. Just Blaze really delivered on this album. I felt, I think he was the strongest producer on this album. Dr. Dre second. And so, Kingdom Come is my number 8. So my number 7, even though I think people kind of knock this album, I'm not really a big fan of double albums, two-sided albums. But I feel Blueprint 2, number 7. I think it had some good songs. This was kind of the first time we see Beyonce and Jay-Z really collab. Blueprint 2, The Gift and the Curse. Kanye West had some strong beats on here. Just Blaze with Hovey Baby. That's one of my favorite Jay-Z songs of all time. Watcher, like I said, Bonnie and Clyde, Excuse Me Miss. So a lot of great singles. I love Poppin' Tags, produced by Kanye West. There's a lot of great songs. The Curse side was pretty good as well. This is another strong album for Just Blaze. Somehow, Some Way. Dope song. So he had a lot of the big producers on this album. I think a lot of people knocked it because it was a double, a 2-disc album. And so, if y'all doing that, during the time of the CDs and stuff like that. So that was my number 7. And I remember this album, because I got it kind of late. I got it like a year later. I remember I said I got to listen to this album, during the time of, Hurricane Isabel. This came out a year after, year after, it was Isabel. And so, so that was my number 7. And like I said, this was a tough ranking because a lot of his album is great. But my next one, my number 6 is Value 2, Hard Not Life. Like I said, this is when I really started to like Jay-Z. Started being a Jay-Z fan. My cousins, they loved Jay-Z. My sister used to love Jay-Z. But there's a lot of great cuts on this album. I would move it further, but it's so many great albums that I feel was a little bit better than this album. But Hard Not Life, And What, And Who, Money Cash. I don't want to say the other word, but great songs. Can I Get Her? Money Ain't a Thing. So many great songs. Like I said, Jigga What, Jigga Who, uh, featuring Jazz, Big Jazz on that song. A lot of great cuts. Swiss Beats had a lot of great songs on this album as well, and Timbaland. I think they were the strong producers on this album. Of course, Money Ain't a Thing was a huge song as well. So that's my number 6. Number 6. Let's get to number 5. So this is the last album he came out with from, now, recently, currently. This is the last album he came out with. So my number 5 is 444. 444. I feel like this is one of his most vulnerable albums, where he talk about infidelity. He talks about, leaving a legacy. I love Family Feud. I love the song with his mom, really featured on the song. Smile. I love the story of OJ really schooling us as far as blacks, as far as business, as far as, the way marketing is and the way the world is. I love Bomb with Damian Marley. I love that song. Marcy Me with The Dream. Just so many great cuts on this album. So many great cuts. Kill Jay-Z. That's when he really talked about, the infidelity and stuff like that. Which was a great concept. Great concept. So let's get to number 4. And like I say, I could say even more things about these albums, because I love Jay-Z albums. And so my number 4 is Reasonable Doubt. I know y'all like, why you have Reasonable Doubt number 4? Reason I got Reasonable Doubt as number 4. During this time, like I said, I wasn't really a huge fan of Jay-Z, but I respect the content that he had on this album. Dead Presidents was an incredible song. Ain't No with Foxy Brown. Feeling It. Can I Live was a great song. Can I Live? Can't Knock the Hustle, of course, with Mary J. Blige. There's a lot of great songs on this album, but I feel like he was kind of, in this time, he was merging from the fast flow into molding his own sound, his own cadence, his own rhythm that, he had, really evolved up to this point in 96. And so, Reasonable Doubt is a great album. Like I said, this was very tough. But I felt like he had more growth after this album. Even though lyrically this was a great album, really talking about his hustle, really talking about things, his environment up to this point. And so let's get to number 3. American Gangster. I think this is one of his best concept album. During this time, the movie American Gangster came out, and I felt he was inspired by that movie. And I just love the transition of the album. So many great songs on this album. I think this is one of his strongest album lyrically. I think he really thought, he had a lot of thought in this album. I think Diddy was one of the executive producers on this album. So many great. I could play this album straight through. Pray, American Dreamin', Hello Brooklyn with Lil Wayne, that was dope. No Hook, Rock Boys was a great single. Sweet, I Know. Party Life was different, but it was dope. Ignorant Ish, love the wordplay on that song. Say Hello, Success. Success was dope. I love that song with Nas. Uh, Fallen. Fallen was great. Jermaine Dupri really did his thing on this album. Blue Magic, The Neptunes, American Gangster. So I could play this album straight through. Like I said, I think this is one of his strongest, concept, as far as the concept of an album. I think this is one of his strongest. And so we're going to get to the top two. Top two, this was very tough. This is very, very tough. And I know a lot of fans of this album, they're going to be like, oh, why he got this as number two? Because this is kind of one of his biggest albums. So my number two is Blueprint. Number two, Blueprint. This was tough. I tell you, this was tough. Great album. This is one of his greatest concept albums as well. I believe he was looking for a sample, soul sample album, and these producers really delivered. The Ruler's back. Bink, shout out to Bink VA. Takeover. The this and Nas, Izzo. Girls, Jigger That In. You Don't Know. Whew. Fire album. And this came out during 9/11. So it was, sales still it was still one of the top selling albums of that time. You Don't Know, Hola Oviedo, Heart of the City, Never Change, Song Cry, All I Need, Renegade. Dope album. Yeah, Blueprint is my number two. But I felt like this number one was a little. I think he went out with a bang with his album. This is supposed to be his retirement, and I had to go with number one. That Black album was. I felt like he closed out. This was a great closing for his retirement during that time. Just Blaze really start off. He really started off his albums well. Man, December 4th was fire. Just all these producers really delivered on this album. I think this was one of his great concept albums. Really touched different parts of his career. What more can I say? It's like, what more can I say from now? I've proved to y'all that I'm one of the greatest rappers of all time. Encore, Change Clothes, great commercial song. Dirt Off Your Shoulder, great commercial song with Timbaland. We all seen that infamous video where they was working in the studio working on that song. Threat. Amazing how Ninth Wonder linked up with Jay-Z to create that song. Moment of Clarity, Eminem. And I wish Eminem would get back to his producing. 99 Problems, Rick Rubin. Very different. This is, very different for Jay-Z on this type of rock beat, which was very dope. And it kind of highlighted Jay-Z's storytelling too. People underestimate Jay-Z as a great storyteller. Justified My Thug was the first time working with DJ Quick. Lucifer and Allure, amazing records. Amazing, especially that Allure. That was fire. And lyrically, just everything. Lyrically, everything. It was like a whole buffet of, the greatness of Jay-Z on this album. My first song, it was a great closure for this album. And so I just think that Black Album was a little better than Blueprint. So this is my ranking of Jay-Z. let me know. Leave a comment what you thought about my ranking of Jay-Z. Please let me know. Leave a comment. And enjoyed doing this one. Just like I said, this is a very tough one. Very tough one. So many albums, so much greatness. Out of this rapper, one of the greatest rappers of all time, Jay-Z. So appreciate y'all for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. And until next time, peace.